Joining us now from Florida is Mr. Karl Schilling. He is the founder of something called the Advocacy Network. Karl, always great to have you in the program.
You too. Thanks so much, Don. I appreciate being here with you today.
Now, the last time we had you on the show, we were talking about gold and silver, which you're very bullish on. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think based on everything going on right now economically, Don, it's a great time for people to be using gold and silver to back up their dollar-based assets. Again, I think what people need to understand is that there's so many people talk about it as an investment or as a speculative, process, and it's just, it really shouldn't be discussed in that kind of venue. It's a protective source, Don. It's almost like you could call it an insurance policy, an economic insurance policy against your dollar-based assets losing their value very, very quickly and not having anything to support them.
Well, a lot of people we've been talking to this week on the program are basically looking at the big caps, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, saying they've really accelerated to a point where you can't really make any money at these big caps anymore. They're looking at small cap stocks. You think gold and silver is the way to go?
Well, sure, but I think it shouldn't interfere. I don't think it should be a combination where it interferes with something that people are doing on their portfolios, right? I always called it I always saw it in the terms of this, Don. You have people who love equities and they like bonds and the normal marketplace. Let's call those people chocolate lovers. And then you have people who love real estate, right? And that kind of scenario. Let's call them peanut butter lovers. And what I've always found over the years is that the chocolate lovers, they have nothing to do with peanut butter, and the peanut butter lovers have nothing to do with chocolate. But I always used to talk to people about forming a peanut butter cup, because that's a pretty good solution. So if you're going to be fully correlated and you're going to be fully diversified, then gold and silver has a place for maybe 10 to 15% of your dollar-based assets to be backing those up.
Now, it's kind of interesting because a couple of weeks ago, we saw a serious spike in the price of silver.
Yes. And silver, that spike may actually be a movement that'll continue. There's silver, unlike gold has a little of it, but silver also has an industrial component. So the amount of silver on supply and demand, not just has the monetary content, but it also has the industrial usage. So if people feel like silver is in short supply and very, very strong demand, then obviously you could see some spikes, more so than even with gold. But the real danger, I think, Don, is that not so much silver, because silver has a long ways to go before it would be too affordable to get into. But gold is getting pretty close to the point where if you're an average person, you wait too long, you won't be able to protect your background with gold because it'll be too expensive to get into.
Now, you're talking about holding the actual precious metals. You're talking about paper stocks that are involved in the gold and silver business. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, for the most part, bullion. Just having bullion, and dealing in gold, gold and silver bullion. Not so much even in bars. Problems with bars are that it's very hard to go spend a bar. Mm-hmm. You're not going to walk down and spend a whole bar of gold. Unless, of course, it's a massive purchase. You may be able to buy a home, with a bar of gold, right? Or a down payment on a home. But the thing with gold and silver is it will always have value. This is what I think people miss. If the dollar is a fiat, right? A digital currency is really a fiat. It doesn't have real value. Gold and silver will be the only things at the end of the day that have a value and can never go to zero, because they will have value regardless of what the economic climate is.
Well, it's interesting because we're looking at things like Bitcoin hit 50,000 this week, and you look at it 5 minutes later, it's at 48,000 or 46,000. I mean, it changes by the minute.
Yeah. Bitcoin is, again, that's speculative, totally. You know what I mean? So people who compare Bitcoin and compare the gold and silver markets. Now, don't get me wrong, Don, because we know that there's part of the gold and silver market, as you mentioned, that is in equities, mining companies and things of that nature. That's a different investment. That is speculative. You are speculating on gold and silver there. But if you're holding bullion, you're holding the value as a future purchasing power insurance policy.
Of course,
So
the
you-
Advocacy Network is primarily helping people avoid financial victimization. How can you help people with gold and silver?
Well, again, they can reach out to me through, the website. We're at theadvocacynet.com, and then they can call me direct, which you're always great about putting that up. They can call me 321-947-3220. We have 4 or 5 dealers that we deal with that have been totally vetted by us, that we know are totally safe, havens to be involved in it. And we don't deal in anything in between, Don. People have to hold their own gold and silver. This is not about it being housed somewhere for them or anything of that nature.
Well, the singer Burl Ives made a hit of the song Silver and Gold. You kind of look a little bit like Burl Ives, so that's your song you're singing, right?
Well, there we go. Yep. It's been a long time, but I haven't been compared to Burl Ives recently, but thank you for that, Don.
Once again, the Advocacy Network, Karl Schilling. Karl, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
You too. Thanks, Don. Have a great day.